Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today we are gonna dive into a really cool motorcycle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the 2024 Kawasaki Z125.
Nice.
So we've got this article here that breaks it all down. And this bike, it's really making waves, especially in the US.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it seems like it's because of how they've blended style and affordability.
It's like they hit that sweet spot.
Yeah, exactly. So what makes it stand out?
Whoa.
The article mentions the specs right away. You
Yeah.
know, 125cc engine, single cylinder, air cooled, putting out 9.5 horsepower.
Right.
Now, I'll admit I'm not a motorcycle expert, so break this down for me.
Sure.
What does all that mean for like the average rider?
Okay, so think about 125 cc's. That's like on the smaller end of the engine spectrum.
Okay.
So it's got enough, to zip around town, make your commute fun. But it's not built for like high-speed highway riding.
Gotcha.
And the 9.5 horsepower, that means it's not going to blow you away with like raw power,
Right.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
This bike, it's incredibly light. It weighs in at just a little over 100 kilograms.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
So like that power is more than enough considering how light it is.
exactly. That's what gives it that fun factor. You know, that power to weight ratio.
Right.
Makes it so agile and zippy, especially like navigating those city streets.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, imagine dodging potholes, weeping through traffic. But this bike, it's going to feel like nimble and responsive.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Definitely more of a city slicker than a highway cruiser.
Yeah, for sure.
The article talks about the Z125 inheriting its design from, like, its larger siblings in the Z series.
Yeah,
What does that even mean?
good question.
Like, I picture a motorcycle.
Right.
But is there, like, something specific about the Z series look?
Yeah, so Kawasaki Z series, it's known for having like an aggressive, almost predatory styling.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's got those like sharp angles, a bold front fascia, kind of like a mini panther prowling the streets.
Okay, I can picture that.
Yeah, and the Z125, it captures that essence, but in a smaller package.
Right.
So you get those head-turning looks, but in a size that's perfect for like those tight spaces. Makes sense. So style and agility, we've got that down.
Yeah.
But how does it stack up against other bikes in its class?
Oh,
The article has this competitor comparison table.
yeah.
It pits the Z125 against the Honda Grom, the Yamaha MT125, and the KTM Duke 125.
Yeah, like the mini motorcycle showdown.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is where the Z125 plays its trump card,
What's that?
the price tag.
Oh, right.
It comes in at around $3,200,
Yeah.
which significantly undercuts the competition.
Wow.
You get a lot of style and fun for your money.
That's awesome. So it's affordable, but does it like skimp on anything to reach that price point?
Well, there are a few things to think about. Like, for one, the Z125, it lacks ABS,
Oh.
which is an anti-lock braking system.
Right.
So that's a safety feature that can be really helpful, especially for new riders.
Yeah, so if you're prioritizing safety, that's something to consider.
Right.
Is that like a common feature in this class of bike?
It's becoming more common,
Oh, okay.
especially in like the European market.
Gotcha.
But not all entry-level bikes have it.
Okay.
The Z125 also loses out when it comes to top speed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, compared to the Yamaha MT125.
Okay.
But again, it really comes down to what you're looking for in a bike.
Right.
If raw speed isn't your top priority, the Z125's agility and price might outweigh that.
Yeah. It sounds like it all boils down to individual needs and priorities.
Exactly.
And speaking of priorities, the article highlights the Z125's fuel efficiency.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big plus, especially with gas prices these days.
Huge plus.
Yeah.
Especially if you're using this as a daily commuter or even just like running errands around town.
Right?
That fuel efficiency will save you money in the long run.
Definitely.
And it's not just cost, it's also convenience.
Oh, yeah. True. Yeah.
Less trips to the gas station means more time enjoying the ride.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about the actual experience of riding this bike? The article makes it sound so fun and easy to handle, especially for beginners.
Right.
But, like, is it really that straightforward? Could someone who's never even touched a motorcycle just hop on this and ride off?
Maybe not right off into the sunset,
Right, right.
but definitely around the block.
Okay, so why is that?
Here's the thing. That smaller engine size and the lighter weight,
Okay,
it makes it way less intimidating to handle.
makes sense.
You're not like wrestling with this powerful beast.
Right.
You're in control of like a nimble machine.
Okay.
It lets you get a feel for the basics without feeling overwhelmed.
So you're building confidence as you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, the fact that it's marketed as beginner friendly,
Right.
That means they put a lot of thought into making it easy to learn and fun to ride,
Yeah.
even for someone who's brand new to motorcycles.
Gotcha. But even with a bike this approachable, I'd imagine you'd still recommend taking like a safety course before hitting the road.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Safety first always.
Always, always.
Yeah.
So we've got this picture of a stylish, affordable, easy-to-handle bike.
hmm
But are there any other drawbacks or limitations that potential buyers should know about?
Well, like we talked about before, it's not going to win any races on the highway.
Right.
That smaller engine, it's really meant for those urban environments.
Gotcha.
The article also mentions the limited fuel tank capacity,
Okay.
which means you'll be making more frequent stops if you're doing longer rides.
Right. So it's all about knowing what you want out of a bike.
Yeah,
If you want a long-distance cruiser, this isn't it.
right.
But if you're looking for a stylish, affordable way to get around the city, the Z125 seems to check a lot of boxes.
It does, and it's not just hypothetical. This
Mhm.
bike, it's super popular in the U.S.,
Yeah.
especially among younger riders and students.
Oh, wow.
There's something about that blend of practicality, affordability,
Mm.
and let's be honest, that cool factor
Right.
that really speaks to people.
You know what? You're making me want to take one for a spin myself.
Oh, yeah, you should.
But before I get ahead of myself,
Right.
let's take a step back and think about the big picture here.
Okay.
What are the key takeaways from everything we've talked about so far? What really makes the Z125 stand out in the motorcycle world?
I think it's that unique combination of style affordability and how beginner-friendly it is.
Mm-hmm.
You really get a lot of bang for your buck with this bike.
Yeah,
It's not trying to be everything to everyone.
right.
It's carving out its own niche and doing it really well.
That's a great point. It's focusing on what it does best and owning it.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working, judging by how popular it is.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's more to unpack here. I'm curious, what do you think makes it so popular, especially in the U.S.? Is it just the price, or is there something else going on?
That's a good question. And I think it speaks to a larger trend in the motorcycle world.
Oh, okay, what's that?
We're seeing a shift away from those big, heavy bikes
Right.
towards these smaller, more nimble machines that are easier to handle and more practical for everyday use.
Oh, so it's like the motorcycle equivalent of the tiny house movement.
Exactly.
People are realizing that sometimes less is more.
Yeah, and I think the Z125 embodies that philosophy perfectly.
Right.
It's not about showing off or impressing anyone. It's about that pure riding enjoyment and practicality.
Yeah.
And let's be real, there's something cool about that minimalist approach.
Yeah, I love that. It's like the Z125 is saying, hey, I don't need all the bells and whistles to be awesome.
And that's a powerful message.
It is.
But even with all its strengths,
Right.
it's important to remember those limitations we talked about, like
Mhm.
the lack of ABS, the small fuel tank.
Mm.
Those are trade-offs that buyers need to consider.
Right. It's all about finding the bike that fits your needs and riding style.
Exactly.
But before you make any decisions, there's one more important factor to consider, and it goes beyond specs and features.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. This is where we shift gears and talk about the emotional side of motorcycle ownership.
You know me too well. It's not just about transportation. It's about the feeling, the experience, the freedom.
Exactly. So before we dive into all that, let's pause for a second.
Okay.
Imagine yourself behind the handlebars of the Z125.
Can you see it? You're zipping through those city streets, feeling the wind in your hair, leaving those gas guzzlers in your dust.
Yeah, I can picture it.
Right.
And it brings us to a question for you, our listener.
Yeah.
Does the Z125 spark your interest?
Mm-hmm.
Does it fit your vision of what motorcycling should be?
Or are you drawn to something else? Maybe a bike with more power, more features, a totally different style.
Keep those thoughts in mind as we continue our deep dive into the 2024 Kawasaki Z125.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, if you've ever ridden a Z125, let us know in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
We'd love to hear about your firsthand experience.
Yeah, because sometimes the most valuable insights come from those who have felt that rumble of the engine and that freedom of the open road,
Right?
or at least the open city street.
Open City Street, that's right.
So let's keep the conversation going.
Awesome. Now let's get back to the Z125 and explore why it's so popular in the U.S.
Okay.
It seems like this bike really resonates with a particular type of rider.
Yeah. The article mentions that the Z125 is a hit with students and young professionals.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Well,
Is it just the price, or is there something more about this bike that appeals to that demographic?
I think it's definitely more than just the price tag, although affordability is huge, especially for students and people just starting out their careers.
Right.
It goes back to that idea of practicality and simplicity we're talking about.
Right.
The Z125 just fits into that urban lifestyle.
Okay, I get that, but help me understand the connection.
Sure.
What makes it so urban friendly?
Well, just think about the challenges of living in a city.
Yeah.
You know, traffic, parking, expensive gas.
Yeah, for sure.
it can be a real hassle to get around.
It is.
And the Z125, it tackles all those challenges head on.
Okay.
Its compact size makes it super easy to park.
Right.
And the fuel efficiency means you're not constantly emptying your wallet at the gas station.
So it's like a little ninja
Yeah.
weaving through traffic and finding those impossible parking spaces.
Exactly. It's like a cheat code for the urban jungle.
I love that.
And for young people who are often on a budget and really value convenience, those factors are huge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like having the best of both worlds, freedom and practicality.
Exactly.
But the article also mentions experienced riders gravitating towards the Z125.
Mm-hmm.
That surprised me a little bit. I mean, wouldn't someone who's been riding for years want something bigger, more powerful?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But even experienced riders, they appreciate having a smaller, more agile bike for those quick trips around town.
Oh, that's true.
Like if you're just running errands or meeting a friend for coffee, do you really want to be wrestling with a big, heavy motorcycle in traffic?
I guess not.
No. It's all about choosing the right tool for the job.
Right.
Sometimes a nimble screwdriver is more useful than a heavy-duty hammer.
That's a great analogy.
And for a lot of experienced riders, the Z125 becomes SCO, the go-to-bike for everyday use.
Makes sense.
It's fun, easy to handle, and it doesn't take up a ton of space in the garage.
So it's like the reliable sidekick to their main motorcycle.
Yeah, exactly.
The one they can always count on for a quick, enjoyable ride.
For sure.
But we can't forget about those drawbacks we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
You know, the lack of ABS, the limited fuel tank capacity.
Right.
Are those things really deal breakers for people, or are they willing to overlook those limitations because of the bike's other strengths?
That's a really good question, and always it comes down to individual priorities.
Right.
For some riders, safety features like ABS are non-negotiable.
Yeah, of course.
But for others, they might not be as important as, affordability, style, or ease of use.
Right. It's all about weighing the pros and cons and deciding what matters most to you.
Exactly. And the Z125 offers a pretty compelling set of pros.
It does.
But there's one more thing I want to point out.
Look at that.
And it's something the article mentions as well, the fun factor.
Oh, yeah.
This bike, it's designed to put a smile on your face.
Okay.
It's light, nimble, responsive.
Right.
It's just a joy to ride, especially in those tight urban environments.
Like the Z125 is saying, hey, let's ditch the traffic jam blues and have some fun.
Exactly. And I think that's a big part of its appeal, especially for younger riders who are looking for a way to inject some excitement into their daily commute or weekend adventures.
Absolutely. It's not just about getting from point A to point B.
Well,
It's about enjoying the journey.
It is.
And that brings us back to that question we asked earlier. Does the Z125 spark your interest?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see yourself zipping through those city streets on this stylish, affordable machine?
Can you feel that sense of freedom that waned in your hair exhilaration?
I can practically feel it.
Right. Or does your ideal riding experience involve something different?
Right.
Maybe a powerful cruiser for those open highways, or a rugged adventure bike for exploring off the beaten path.
There's a whole world of motorcycles out there,
Yeah.
each with its own personality and appeal.
For sure.
But today we're focusing on the Z125.
Right.
And what makes it such a great choice, especially for those urban riders.
Exactly.
And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with a question to think about. What do you think it is about city riding that makes it so appealing?
Is it that sense of navigating like a concrete jungle, of weaving through the urban tapestry?
Or is it something else entirely? Let's explore that in our next segment.
Okay.
We'll dive into the allure of city riding and how the Z125 taps into that unique experience. Okay, so we're back and ready to explore why city riding has become so popular.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm more of a wide open spaces kind of person.
Right.
So the appeal of weaving through traffic,
Yeah.
it's not immediately obvious to me.
I get that for a lot of people, the idea of riding in a city, it sounds stressful,
Yeah.
maybe even a bit dangerous.
Right.
But there's a whole community of riders out there
Okay.
who absolutely love it, and they're onto something.
Okay, so convince me then.
Right.
What is the allure of city riding?
Okay.
Why would someone choose that over, say, cruising down a scenic highway?
Well, think of it this way. A city, it's like a living, breathing organism. There's this constant energy, a pulse, a rhythm to it.
Right.
And when you're on a motorcycle, you become a part of that flow.
Okay.
You're not just observing the city. You're experiencing it in this visceral way.
Okay. I'm starting to see it now.
Yeah.
You're more connected to the environment, like the sights, the sounds, even the smells,
Exactly.
Yep.
And it's not just about that sensory experience.
Okay.
There's also this sense of
freedom and independence
Yeah.
that comes with navigating a city on two wheels.
Right.
You're not stuck in traffic jams or like worried about parking
Right.
the way you would be in a car.
That's true.
You're nimble, you're adaptable.
Hmm.
You can find those shortcuts and side streets that most people miss.
Like you've got a secret map to the city.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's where a bike like the Z125, it really shines.
Okay.
It's small enough to squeeze through those tight spaces, fuel efficient, so you can cover a lot of ground.
Right.
And its lightweight design makes it so easy to maneuver in those stop-and-go situations.
So it's almost like the Z125 becomes an extension of you.
Yeah.
Like it allows you to navigate the city
Right.
in a way that wouldn't be possible otherwise.
I like that analogy. It's like you and the bike
Yeah.
become a single unit,
Okay.
moving effortlessly through the urban landscape.
And that's part of what makes motorcycling so addictive, right?
Absolutely. That sense of unity,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
being in sync with your machine and your surroundings.
It's like a dance.
It is like a dance between you, the bike, and the city.
And like any good dance, it takes a certain level of skill and finesse.
It does, but that's part of the appeal too.
Oh, right.
You're always like honing your skills,
Okay.
mastering that art of urban riding.
So it's challenging,
Yeah.
but
Well,
rewarding.
exactly. And the rewards are huge, not just the practical stuff.
Right. The time, the money,
Yeah, all that,
less frustration.
but also like the emotional rewards.
Okay.
That feeling of accomplishment, mastering a skill,
Right.
conquering the urban jungle on your own terms.
Yeah, I'm really starting to understand why people love city riding now.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than just transportation. It's an adventure,
Yeah,
a lifestyle, a way to connect with the city on like a deeper level.
I think so.
And it sounds like the Z125 is the perfect companion for that.
It is. It really embraces the urban environment with all its, challenges and rewards.
We've covered a lot today.
Yeah, we have.
From the Z125's specs and features to why it's so popular in the US, and now to the whole concept of city riding.
Right?
This has been a pretty awesome deep dive.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
And I think the big takeaway is that there's no one right way to experience motorcycling.
Right.
It's about finding the bike and the riding style that really speaks to you.
Exactly.
For some people, that might be cruising down an open highway, feeling the wind in their hair,
Yeah.
the miles just melting away.
Others might want to carve up those canyon roads, pushing their skills to the limit.
Right. And for some, it's all about navigating that urban jungle,
Yeah.
feeling the pulse of the city.
Right. Becoming a part of that energy.
Exactly. And the Z125, it's a bike that celebrates that urban spirit.
Yeah.
It reminds us that adventure can be found anywhere, even in those unexpected places.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the 2024 Kawasaki Z125,
Yeah.
we want to leave you with one final thought.
What does motorcycling mean to you?
What kind of riding experience are you looking for?
And what bike would be your ideal companion for that journey?
We encourage you to keep exploring
Keep learning.
and keep those engines revving.
Until next time, ride safe and enjoy the ride.